see how this works out in the rain here, in the wind. Salvete omnes. Laudetur Jesus Christus in aeternum. So this is a continuation on the theme of the seen and the unseen. The things which we don't take very much heed of in our daily lives often. We Catholics, particularly those who call ourselves traditional Catholics, but even those devout Catholics who still find themselves, for one reason or another, within the Novus Ordo, pray to the unseen world every day in many different ways. We interact with the unseen world every day in Holy Mass. The ultimate aspect of that being the transubstantiation of the species, of the bread and the wine, when literally a portal, a real portal, a gateway into eternity opens, and we climb again the hill of Calvaria with our dear Lord and our dear Lady and the holy women and Saint John and the Roman legionaries and the Judean workers and people who crowded until the end when they began to leave or run once the earthquake hit and the rains did fall. Anyway, there's a lot of things that are happening today that are connected with this, right? And if you study physics, and I mean real physics, if you cut through the lies, and I have to remind you all that in every area of science, so-called, in this modern era, you find the science laced with lies. So you have pseudoscience everywhere, just basically promoting the atheistic view of the universe, which is absolutely absurd to anybody who knows anything about any one of the sciences. And when you put them all together, and you've had the grace that I've had to be able to delve deeply into many aspects of these professionally, as an amateur, and on many other levels, the absurdity just jumps out at you, right? It's a genie you can't put back in a bottle. Once you know, you see it everywhere, and then you see it everywhere else in society. These things that are happening, the lies that just that are laced throughout our society, through everything that's in our society, by the same happy group of people who've been doing it for a very long time. So an observation here, all of these preternatural things that are happening, the cryptid phenomenon, the UAP, they like to call it now, what they once called the UFO phenomenon, which now you could actually say UXP, because it's not just aerial, but they're phenomenon that happened also within the lakes and the oceans of the world, all this sort of thing. Here's something you will note. Traditional Catholics, believing Catholics, as far as I have been able to discern, are not the ones who have these experiences, to whom these things happen. I think that's very significant, right? Because many of us, when confronted by these things, would have our rosaries with us, have the name of our dear sweet Lord on our lips. The enemy doesn't like that. The spiritual enemy, the enemy on the unseen side of the fence, which really is not really a fence, but in a sense it is. The unseen permeates everything around us. Remember, just because we can't measure things or see things, and I touched upon this in my last talk about the seen and unseen that I gave the other day, or last night it was, I guess. Many of the things that we perceive as miracles or preternatural are not really so, right? They're just behaving in the natural order of things, in the order of creation that God created, by means and through methods and that we simply don't understand, right? But we have some instruments and some ability to gain some slight insight into these things. If you study quantum computing, if you study the physics of the small, right? Going down to the very, very small and how the forces operate at those levels. If you start to think about what really is gravity, what really is, how is the universe put together and maintained, you start to see that you get a glimpse of God's underlying, permeating power of creation through everything. So it all there's no magic here. God doesn't do magic. There is the manipulation, or there is the working with what happens in the universe. And we have to remember that the angelic forces, both the fallen and the non-fallen, understand things to a level that we can't even comprehend, and can do things to a level that we can't comprehend through the will of God, either his permissive will or his active will. So I'll leave you with that for the moment. I hope to come back to this because there's more to talk about in this whole area, which is important for the things that are happening around us now, more and more ever, because we are seeing the revelation, if you will, through one method or another, of the supernatural and the preternatural. And it's important to distinguish which is which, who's affected and why, and the direction in which the world continues to go. As it continues to seem we race headlong towards the great chastisement. Avete et salvete omnes.